What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols Pregame'n Edition. This is where we spend a few minutes chatting with the team prior to their next match. Joining for this one is a player who's been a rock in central defense the past few seasons. He's currently helping propel the Hounds backline to be one of the best in the league with one of the lowest goals against. It is Pat Hogan. Pat, thanks for joining me, man.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. First off, you were named to Team of the Week this week. Congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you. It was definitely a hard fought couple games, good 3 clean sheets. So it was nice to get up on there.
Do they send you anything for that? Do you get like a medal or a trophy or anything?
I would love at least a sandwich or something, getting team of the week. You don't even get that. It's just the pride, I guess.
Okay, maybe we'll have to work with the Steel Army. So every time you guys get
Exactly.
named to something, you get something small. Yeah, I like that.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Um,
A brewski or two,
exactly. You've definitely been on all the fans' minds recently. You had sort of 2 really big injuries.
Yeah.
Talk us through that and talk us through sort of the recovery of coming back from that.
Yeah, it was actually a very stressful couple weeks. I
Sure.
had the, busted my head open on that Wednesday against Louisville at home. Ended up getting 14 staples in the back of my head, like right back here. And then 3 days later, busted the front of my eye open against NCFC. Got 8 stitches there. And yeah, it was 2 head injuries back to back. You're bound to kind of scared. I wasn't really worried about that. I've gotten hit in the head plenty of times before. I didn't think of it as a big deal. My adrenaline was pumping, so it didn't really hurt that much, to be honest, getting all those in. So then we kind of progressed, and they kind of took me slow, but I kind of jumped back into things, I think, a little too soon. And that next week I sat out, but then that following week I was back into training once I got my stitches and staples out. And that Friday right before the game was going to be in the lineup, and was just stretching at home, and that night ended up having a seizure, which was pretty scary.
Holy cow! Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. I mean, any concern? It sounds like you're back on the field. No real concerns about lingering effects or
Yeah,
anything like that.
so they set me up with like the head neurology guy here in Pittsburgh, great guy, Dr. Valeriano, and so I went and saw him and ended up getting an MRI scan, and got the CT scans when I went to the emergency room right away, and those came back normal, and then the MRI came back normal, and then I did a EEG of my brain, and all those came back normal. So as precautionary measure, he just ended up putting me on medication just in case. But he thinks it's, one of those, 9% of the world gets one-time seizures in their lifetime. And,
Mhm.
was that because of the head injury? If it happened maybe 24 hours right afterwards, then you could have definitely put that into the category of, okay, that was caused by the head injury. But it happening like a week and a half later, 2 weeks later, it was just a little more concern on their end. So
Yeah.
that's why I was out for a little bit, like 2 or 3 weeks, just to make sure that when that working back into things, it wasn't going to trigger another one, or there weren't lasting causes of that. So now that we're all good to go, we're
Yeah.
fine again.
Good. Really glad to hear that, you're on the mend and that you're back in the lineup and you're feeling good and you sort of been cleared for everything. We obviously care about you as a person more than you as a player. So just glad to see that that's all good.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you.
Back to the team a little bit. So you guys lost some key players on defense from last year, yet you've still been consistent in your output. You guys are second in the league in clean sheets. You're giving up less than a goal per game. What do you attribute that consistency to?
That's Bob's style. He was the defender as a player. He's a defender as a coach in terms of team defending, how he wants us to move. We pride ourselves on team defending, and it's not just the center backs; it's the forwards are doing a lot to get behind the ball and to make our jobs easier. And I mean, everyone works for each other. It's not just a one man show where we're just leaving guys 1v1. And I think that's a testament to how we're doing defensively. It's just, we don't leave guys 1v1. We don't leave them on their own. And so, our the reflection of the goals that we're letting in shows that, I feel like.
Yeah. It feels like, compared to last season where you had sort of Jamali back there behind you for most of the season, it's been more of a rotating door keeper. How does that impact you as a defender in the defensive unit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely confident in all of our all goalkeepers. It definitely does put a little strain because you're hearing different voices behind you. We went through a period where it was like 6 games where we were hearing different voices almost every game or every other game, and so that does put a little, because some people have strengths for some things and other people have strengths for other things. So it's just kind of getting to know, who's behind you, what their strengths are, what you kind of got to cater to, this and that. So that was very interesting. And it's definitely tough, but I think, if you're on this team, you can hold your own. And so I don't think we were really too worried about who was behind goal and who was going to be in between the posts to get the job done.
Yeah. It feels like there's a lot of competition sort of across the back line this season. You guys have been a really good unit. Sort of what's your assessment of just, who all you guys have back there?
Yeah, I agree. I think we have great talent in the back. Obviously we lost Arturo last year, defender of the year. Very hard to replace him, and honestly, it's going to be hard to ever find someone that is going to replicate what he replicated last year for us. But we brought in Sean Suber, amazing at his feet. I played with him at Charlotte, great player. So I was already familiar with his game, trained with him the off season, went to the same college as him. Very good player, and I knew he was going to do well here. Pierre, another one, great at his feet, strong, loves to get stuck into a tackle, loves to know what he's doing. Alal from last year, obviously played in all the big games, whether that was the MLS games or, League Cup games. And then, as the back three, LC, when he came in, he did his work in the Open Cup game as well. So, I mean, we have a lot of competition, and that's what makes it very interesting for us, especially in training, because you have to perform or you're not going to play. And, that's one thing with Bob, if you're training well, you're going to get your chances. So,
Yeah, for sure. It's been a busy few weeks for the team. How's everybody feeling this week as you guys get prepared for Colorado Springs?
yeah, I think everyone was a bit lagging the first 2 days after a long 3-week stretch, travel involved, and this and that. I think everyone has a very positive mindset. I think we all know that every game matters now. Every game's a cup final. And so you can see that competitive edge. You can see that energy buzzing in training. Like, hey, like, we're not out of this, even though we're not in playoff position right now. Like, it's right there for our grasp. We just got to, take care of the things that we can control, which is, winning on the weekend and getting the job done. And then hopefully everything else will kind of put itself in place.
That sounds good to me. Pat, really appreciate the time. Really glad to see, you're on the mend. Best of luck against the Switchbacks this weekend. And here's hoping for another clean sheet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.